The quantum drive's hum resonated through the U.S. Hyperion's hull as Commander Alina Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, her reflection ghosting against the backdrop of stars. The experimental vessel represented humanity's boldest venture into deep space, though few beyond this hand-picked crew knew its true capabilities. Commander, detecting unusual energy signatures at the edge of the Arcturus colony's sensor range. Lieutenant James Webb called out from his station, dark fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Pattern suggests artificial origin, but nothing matching known human or allied configurations. Alina's posture straightened, years of tactical training kicking in. The Hyperion had been testing its revolutionary quantum detection systems in this remote sector for a reason. Something had been systematically disrupting communications with outer colonies, leaving only silence in its wake. Analysis, she asked, turning to Dr. Maya Patel, the ship's lead quantum physicist. The scientist's usually animated features were focused intently on streams of data flooding her displays. The energy signature is elegant, Maya responded, adjusting her glasses. Whoever created it has a sophisticated understanding of quantum mechanics, but they're applying it in ways that suggest a fundamentally different approach to physics than anything humanity has developed. Alina processed this as she studied the tactical display. The Hyperion was humanity's best-kept secret, a vessel that merged cutting-edge quantum technology with adaptive artificial intelligence in ways that challenged conventional understanding of both fields. If they were about to make first contact, they were humanity's best chance at handling it properly. Multiple signatures now, Webb reported, his voice steady despite the tension building on the bridge. They're emerging from what appears to be a localized space-time distortion. Definitely not natural. The bridge crew watched as sleek, crystalline vessels materialize from the distortion. Their hulls seemed to bend light itself, making them appear almost liquid in nature. Alina counted 12 ships, arranged in a perfect geometric formation that spoke of both advanced technology and rigid tactical thinking. "We're being scanned," Maya announced, her hands flying across her interface. "Their quantum sensors are extraordinary, but our adaptive shielding is responding, shifting its quantum state faster than they can get a lock." Alina allowed herself a small smile. The Hyperion's quantum adaptive shield technology was more than just a defensive system. It was a breakthrough in energy manipulation that allowed the ship to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. It made the vessel nearly impossible to target effectively, assuming the enemy relied on conventional targeting systems. The alien vessels suddenly halted their advance, maintaining their perfect formation. A burst of energy washed across the Hyperion sensors, not an attack, but a communication attempt. "They're broadcasting in multiple quantum frequencies simultaneously," Maya reported, excitement bleeding through her professional demeanor. It's beautiful, actually. They're encoding information in the quantum entanglement patterns themselves." "Can we respond in kind?" Alina asked, already knowing the answer. The Hyperion hadn't been built just to fight. It was designed to push the boundaries of human understanding in every possible way. "Better than that," Maya replied, her fingers flying across her console. "Our quantum AI is already adapting to their communication protocols. We can speak to them in their own language, but with our own unique variations. Show them something they've never seen before." The response from the alien vessels was immediate. Their perfect formation shifted slightly, suggesting surprise or uncertainty. Alina recognized the tactical advantage of that small tell. These beings, whoever they were, weren't used to encountering species that could match their technological sophistication. "We're receiving a clear transmission now," Webb announced. "The AI is translating. They're calling themselves the Nexus. He paused, his expression darkening. "They're demanding our immediate surrender and integration into their collective consciousness. They're claiming responsibility for the silence from our outer colonies." Alina's jaw tightened. The disappearance of communications from those colonies had been concerning enough. The implication that these beings were responsible, that they had potentially done something to thousands of human colonists, made this encounter shift from diplomatic to defensive in an instant. "Maya," she said quietly, "what would happen if we turned our quantum shields from defensive to offensive configuration? Use their own scanning attempts against them." The scientist's eyes widened as she ran the calculations. "Theoretically, we could create a cascade of quantum interference patterns that would disrupt their perfectly synchronized formation. Their rigid approach to quantum mechanics might actually make them more vulnerable to our more creative applications." "Do it," Alina commanded, watching as the alien vessels began to shift into an attack formation. "Lieutenant Webb, prepare our quantum torpedoes, but don't target their ships directly. Target the space between them." "The space between?" Webb started to ask. Then understanding dawned on his face. We're not just going to disrupt their formation. We're going to make the space itself unstable for their type of quantum manipulation." "Exactly," Alina confirmed. "Maya, begin the shield reconfiguration. Let's show these Nexus beings that humanity doesn't just understand quantum mechanics. We reinvent it." The alien vessels fired first, streams of coherent energy that would have torn through conventional shields like paper. But the Hyperion's quantum shields didn't just absorb the attack. They transformed it, creating a complex web of quantum entanglement that turned the very energy of the assault into fuel for their counterattack. "Shield conversion at 200% efficiency," Webb reported, excitement creeping into his voice. "We're not just stopping their attack, we're using it to amplify our own quantum field." The Hyperion's response was devastating in its elegance. The quantum torpedoes detonated in the carefully calculated spaces between the Nexus vessels, creating localized areas where the aliens' rigid quantum mathematics simply stopped working. Their perfect formation began to break apart as their ships struggled to maintain their quantum coherence. "They're attempting to adapt," Maya reported, watching the data streams with professional fascination. "But their adaptations are predictable. They're trying to solve this like a mathematics problem, looking for the perfect equation. They don't understand that we're rewriting the rules of quantum physics in real time." Elena watched as the Nexus vessels struggled to maintain their cohesion. Humanity had been dismissed by many advanced civilizations as too young, too primitive to be a serious player in galactic politics. The Nexus had clearly made the same assumption, expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they were facing something they had never encountered before, a species that treated physics itself as a suggestion rather than a rule. "They're retreating," Webb announced as the crystalline ships began to pull back, their once perfect formation now ragged and uncertain. "But they're leaving behind some kind of quantum beacon. It's broadcasting a message across multiple quantum frequencies." "Let me guess," Alina said, watching the alien ships disappear back into their space-time distortion. "They're calling for reinforcements." "Yes," Maya confirmed, studying the beacon's emissions. "But they're also broadcasting something else. Fear. These beings, they operate on pure logic and mathematical precision. What we just showed them doesn't fit into their understanding of how reality should work. We didn't just defeat them, we scared them." Helena nodded slowly, understanding the implications. The Hyperion had just announced humanity's presence on the galactic stage in the most dramatic way possible. They had demonstrated that humanity's approach to physics, to technology, to problem-solving itself, was fundamentally different from anything these advanced beings had encountered before. "Send a message to Earth Command," she ordered. Tell them first contact has been made, and humanity just rewrote the rules of engagement. The galaxy isn't ready for how we think." As the Hyperion's quantum AI began composing the message, Alina watched the last traces of the Nexus ships vanish from their sensors. This was just the beginning. She knew the aliens would return in greater numbers, with new strategies and technologies, but humanity would be ready. They had already proven that they could take the most advanced physics in the galaxy and turn it into something new, something unexpected. The war for humanity's place in the cosmos had begun, and humanity had just fired the first shot. The Hyperion's quantum core pulsed with renewed energy as engineer Sarah Rodriguez made the final adjustments to the experimental drive system. 3 days had passed since their first encounter with the Nexus, and every moment had been spent pushing the ship's capabilities beyond their theoretical limits. "The quantum harmonics are stabilizing," Sarah reported, her hands moving across holographic interfaces with practiced precision. "But what we're attempting here goes against every established principle of quantum mechanics." Commander Elena Chen nodded, watching as Maya Patel's team reconfigured the ship's quantum AI. They weren't just preparing for combat. They were about to attempt something that most physicists would consider impossible. "That's exactly why it's going to work," Elena responded. "The Nexus operates on rigid quantum mathematics. We're going to show them something that shouldn't exist according to their understanding of physics." The ship's sensors had detected a massive Nexus fleet assembling at the edge of the Arcturus system. Their first encounter had clearly rattled the alien collective, but they were returning with overwhelming force. Over 50 of their crystalline vessels, each one more advanced than anything humanity had officially fielded. "Quantum AI integration at 95%. Maya called out from her station. "The system is evolving in ways we didn't anticipate. It's not just learning from the Nexus's quantum patterns, it's creating entirely new ones." Lieutenant Webb's tactical display showed the Nexus fleet advancing in perfect geometric formations, their movements synchronized with mathematical precision. But this time, the Hyperion wasn't planning to fight them conventionally. "Sarah," Elena commanded, "begin the quantum core reconfiguration. Maya, link the AI directly to the drive systems. Let's show them why human creativity is more dangerous than any weapon." The plan was audacious. They were going to use the Hyperion's quantum drive to create a localized area where the normal laws of physics became more suggestion than rule. The ship's eye would maintain a bubble of stable space around them, while turning the surrounding region into a quantum chaos zone. "Multiple quantum scans incoming," Webb reported as the Nexus fleet drew closer. "They're trying to analyze our capabilities. Their scanning patterns suggest they're still trying to understand how we defeated their first attack." Maya smiled as she watched the alien scans wash harmlessly across their adaptive shields. "They're looking for mathematical solutions to a problem that can't be solved with pure logic. The beauty of human innovation is that sometimes we succeed precisely because we don't know something is impossible." The Nexus fleet launched their first assault. A coordinated barrage of quantum-shifted energy beams that would have atomized a normal vessel. But the Hyperion was far from normal. Instead of attempting to defend against the attack, they embraced it. "Quantum core reconfiguration complete," Sarah announced, her voice tight with concentration. "Ready to initiate the impossible on your command." Elena took a deep breath, knowing they were about to attempt something that would either revolutionize humanity's understanding of physics or tear them apart at the quantum level. Execute protocol paradox. The Hyperion's quantum core surged with power, but instead of channeling it into weapons or shields, they used it to fundamentally alter the nature of space around them. The ship's AI, operating on principles that merged human intuition with quantum computing, began rewriting the local laws of physics in real time. "It's working," Maya exclaimed, watching as her sensors struggled to make sense of what they were creating. "We're generating a quantum uncertainty field that extends for thousands of kilometers. Within that space, conventional quantum mechanics simply stops working predictably." The effect on the Nexus fleet was immediate and devastating. Their perfectly coordinated formations began to break apart as their quantum-based systems encountered space that refused to behave according to their mathematical models. Ships that relied on precise quantum calculations for everything from navigation to basic functions found themselves in an environment where those calculations produced random results. "They're trying to compensate," Webb reported, watching the alien fleet's increasingly erratic movements. "But their entire technological base assumes a stable quantum framework. They don't know how to operate in conditions where quantum uncertainty is amplified to this degree. Elena watched as the mighty Nexus fleet, with all its technological superiority, found itself effectively crippled by human ingenuity. The aliens hadn't just encountered a new weapon. They had run headlong into a fundamental challenge to their understanding of reality itself. Their communication patterns are becoming chaotic, Maya noted, studying the quantum emissions from the alien vessels. They operate on a collective consciousness that requires precise quantum entanglement. Our uncertainty field is disrupting their ability to think as a unified entity. The Nexus response came in waves of increasingly desperate attacks. Energy beams that should have traveled in straight lines curved unpredictably. Quantum torpedoes meant to phase through shields detonated prematurely or simply ceased to exist. Each attempt to assert control over the battlefield only added to the quantum chaos the Hyperion had created. "They're starting to retreat," Webb announced, unable to keep the satisfaction from his voice. "Their formations are completely broken. Individual ships are trying to escape the uncertainty field, but they're having trouble plotting reliable quantum jumps." Sarah's hands flew across her engineering console, making minute adjustments to the quantum core. "We could press the attack," she suggested. "The core is stable, and we understand how to operate in these conditions better than they do." But Elena saw a different opportunity. "Maya, can we send them a message through this quantum chaos? Something that will really make them think?" The scientist grinned, already understanding the commander's intent. "Better than that. We can encode the message in the quantum fluctuations themselves. Show them that we're not just creating chaos. We're conducting the symphony of quantum impossibilities." The message they sent was elegant in its simplicity, a proof written in the language of quantum mathematics, demonstrating that what the Hyperion had done wasn't just possible, but predictable if one abandoned rigid adherence to conventional physics. It was both a scientific paper and a warning. Humanity understood the rules well enough to break them deliberately. "Message transmitted," Maya confirmed, "and based on the quantum emissions I'm detecting from their fleet, they received it. Their collective consciousness is experiencing something very close to an existential crisis." The Nexus fleet retreated in disarray, leaving behind a battlefield that would puzzle physicists for generations. The Hyperion had done more than win a fight. They had demonstrated that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to think beyond established limitations. "Send word to Earth Command," Elena ordered as they watched the last alien ships disappear. "Tell them we've confirmed that the Nexus can be beaten, but not through conventional warfare. We need to accelerate the deployment of quantum uncertainty technology across the fleet." As the crew began compiling their battle data, Elena reflected on what they had truly accomplished. The Nexus had expected to find a primitive species barely worthy of assimilation into their collective. Instead, they had encountered something far more dangerous, a civilization that treated the fundamental laws of physics as a starting point for innovation rather than an immutable boundary. "You know they'll be back," Webb said quietly, already updating their tactical projections. "And next time, they'll try to find a way to counter what we did here." "Let them try," Elena responded, watching as Sarah and Maya's teams began analyzing the data from their quantum uncertainty field. "That's the beautiful thing about human innovation. By the time they figure out how to deal with this technology, we'll have invented something even more impossible." The Hyperion's quantum core hummed contentedly, its AI already processing new ways to push the boundaries of physics. Humanity had taken its first steps toward rewriting the rules of warfare in the quantum age, and the galaxy would never be the same. Commander Elena Chen studied the quantum data streams with growing interest. The Hyperion's AI had been analyzing Nexus communication patterns since their last encounter, and what it revealed about their adversaries was fascinating. The alien collective didn't just share information, they shared consciousness itself through quantum entanglement. "They think as one," Maya Patil explained, projecting a holographic model of Nexus neural patterns. "But it's not just coordination. Their entire concept of existence is based on perfect unity. Individual thought as we understand it is foreign to them. Lieutenant Webb leaned forward at his tactical station. That's why our quantum uncertainty field hit them so hard. We weren't just disrupting their technology. We were disrupting their ability to think collectively. Exactly, Elena said, a plan forming in her mind. And that gives us an advantage they'll never expect. Maya, how precisely can we manipulate quantum communications? The scientist's eyes lit up with understanding. With our latest AI upgrades, we can do more than just send messages. We can introduce subtle variations into their quantum entanglement network, create ripples in their collective consciousness. The Hyperion had been tracking a massive Nexus fleet for 3 days. After their last defeat, the aliens had changed tactics, gathering an armada of over 200 vessels. But numbers meant nothing if you could attack the enemy's fundamental way of thinking. Sarah, Elena called to their engineer, "Can we modify the quantum core to generate targeted entropy patterns? Something that would look like natural quantum noise to their sensors." Sarah Rodriguez nodded, already running simulations. "Better than that. We can create quantum signals that resonate with their communication frequencies, but carry subtle contradictions, mathematical paradoxes that their rigid logical systems won't be able to ignore." The plan was audacious. They weren't going to attack the Nexus fleet directly. Instead, they would wage warfare on the conceptual level, introducing ideas and possibilities that would create discord in their perfect unity. Multiple Nexus vessels approaching sensor range, Webb reported. Their formation is different this time. They're maintaining quantum shielding around their collective consciousness. They've learned from our last encounter. Elena smiled. But they're still thinking like a collective. Maya, begin transmission of the quantum paradox patterns. Let's see how they handle a little philosophical warfare. The Hyperion's AI began broadcasting precisely calculated quantum signals. To conventional sensors, they appeared as random background noise. But within the Nexus's quantum entanglement network, they were like viral ideas, spreading concepts that challenged their fundamental understanding of existence. First wave of signals penetrating their quantum shielding, Maya reported, watching the data streams with fascination. The paradoxes are propagating through their network. They're trying to solve them. The effect was subtle at first. Individual Nexus ships began showing minute variations in their previously perfect formations. Their responses to standard situations became fractionally delayed as their collective consciousness struggled with concepts it was never designed to process. "They're receiving our quantum transmissions," Webb announced. "Their ships are debating. I've never seen anything like this in their communication patterns." Elena watched as the mighty Nexus fleet began to show signs of something they had never experienced before: disagreement. The quantum paradoxes were forcing individual nodes in their network to process information differently, creating tiny fractures in their perfect unity. Secondary effect initiating, Maya called out excitedly. The paradoxes are causing cascade reactions in their quantum logic systems. Some ships are beginning to question the basic assumptions of their collective consciousness. The Nexus fleet's response was fascinating. Instead of attacking immediately, they began generating complex quantum fields, trying to isolate themselves from the Hyperion's influence. But each attempt to block the transmissions only created new opportunities for the paradoxes to spread. "They're experiencing cognitive dissonance on a quantum level," Sarah observed, monitoring the energy patterns. "Their entire civilization is built on the idea of perfect unity and mathematical certainty. We're showing them problems that can't be solved through pure logic." Elena nodded, understanding the deeper implications. "We're not just fighting their ships. We're challenging their entire worldview." Maya increased the complexity of the paradoxes. "Let's introduce some human concepts they've never considered." The next wave of quantum transmissions carried encoded ideas that were fundamentally human. The beauty of individual thought, the strength found in diversity, the power of questioning established truths. To the Nexus's collective consciousness, these were more devastating than any conventional weapon. "Their formation is breaking down," Webb reported, watching as the alien fleet began to move in increasingly erratic patterns. Some ships are actively trying to distance themselves from the collective. They're beginning to think independently. The Nexus' response was dramatic. Nearly a third of their fleet suddenly withdrew, their quantum signatures showing patterns that suggested internal conflict. The remaining ships tried to maintain their collective unity, but the seeds of doubt had been planted. They're experiencing an existential crisis, Maya explained, studying the quantum readings. Their entire society is based on the assumption that collective consciousness is superior to individual thought. We've shown them that unity without diversity is a weakness, not a strength. Elena watched as the mighty Nexus Armada, which had conquered countless civilizations through overwhelming force and perfect coordination, found itself paralyzed by something as simple as philosophical uncertainty. "Send them one final transmission," she ordered. "Show them what human consciousness looks like at the quantum level, all our contradictions, our ability to hold opposing ideas, our capacity for both logic and intuition." The message they sent was not an attack, but an invitation, a quantum encoding of human thought patterns, showing how individual minds could work together while maintaining their unique perspectives. It was a demonstration that true strength came from diversity of thought, not enforced unity. "The effect is spreading through their entire fleet," Maya reported, watching in amazement. "Their quantum entanglement patterns are evolving. Some ships are developing unique quantum signatures, distinct from the collective." The Nexus fleet's retreat was not a tactical withdrawal this time. It was a fundamental shift in their civilization. Ships departed in small groups, their quantum signatures suggesting the beginning of something the Nexus had never experienced before: individual identity. "We didn't just win a battle," Elena said quietly, watching the alien vessels disappear into quantum space. "We may have just triggered a revolution in their entire species." Sarah's voice carried a note of awe. "We defeated them not through superior firepower or technology, but by introducing them to the concept of individual thought. That's beautifully human." The Hyperion's AI continued to monitor quantum space long after the last Nexus ship had departed, recording the ripples of change spreading through their civilization. Humanity had demonstrated that its greatest weapon wasn't its technology or its weapons. It was its ability to think differently, to embrace contradiction and uncertainty as sources of strength. "Send word to Earth Command," Elena ordered. "Tell them we've discovered the Nexus's true weakness. They can't comprehend the power of human consciousness, and we've just shown them exactly what they're missing." The Hyperion's quantum core pulsed with newfound power as Sarah Rodriguez made the final adjustments to their latest modification. What they were attempting wasn't just experimental, it was evolutionary. The ship's AI had been learning, growing, developing in ways that challenged their understanding of artificial intelligence itself. "The quantum consciousness integration is holding stable," Maya reported, monitoring streams of data that would have been incomprehensible just weeks ago. "The AI isn't just processing quantum information anymore. It's starting to think in quantum states." Commander Elena Chen watched as holographic displays showed their ship's transformation. The Hyperion had always been extraordinary, but now it was becoming something entirely new, a hybrid of human innovation and quantum consciousness. "Multiple Nexus signatures detected," Webb announced from Tactical. "They're different." The fleet formation shows signs of both collective and individual thought patterns. "Our last encounter changed them." The alien fleet that appeared at the edge of their sensor range was massive, over 500 vessels. But these weren't the perfectly synchronized ships they had faced before. These Nexus vessels moved with a mixture of coordination and independence that suggested they were evolving too. "They're adapting," Elena observed, studying their movement patterns. "But so are we." "Sarah, initiate the quantum evolution protocols. Let's show them what happens when human creativity meets quantum computing." The engineer's hands flew across her console as she began the process they had spent weeks preparing. The Hyperion's quantum core wasn't just powering the ship anymore. It was becoming a new form of consciousness, one that merged human intuition with quantum processing in ways that defied conventional understanding. Quantum evolution sequence initiating, Sarah announced, her voice tight with concentration. The AI is beginning to operate in multiple quantum states simultaneously. It's not just calculating possibilities, it's experiencing them. The transformation was visible in every system on the ship. Displays flickered with information that existed in quantum superposition, showing multiple potential realities simultaneously. The ship's defensive systems began anticipating attacks before they were launched, existing in a state of constant tactical evolution. "They're scanning us," Maya reported, watching the Nexus fleet's response. "Their quantum sensors are detecting our transformation, but they can't understand what we're becoming. We're not just breaking their rules anymore. We're rewriting the fundamental nature of technological evolution." The Nexus fleet's first attack was sophisticated, a coordinated barrage of quantum weapons designed to disrupt their new capabilities. But the Hyperion had evolved beyond simple defense. The ship's quantum-enhanced AI didn't just predict the attack. It began actively reshaping local space-time to render their weapons ineffective. "Incredible," Webb breathed, watching their defensive systems at work. "The AI isn't just defending against their attacks, it's learning from them, incorporating their quantum principles into our own evolution. We're growing stronger with every exchange." Elena understood they were witnessing something unprecedented. The Hyperion wasn't just a ship anymore. It was becoming a testament to humanity's ability to push the boundaries of what was possible. Their technology wasn't just advancing, it was transforming into something entirely new. Multiple quantum anomalies forming around the Nexus fleet, Maya called out. "They're trying to replicate our evolutionary process, but their rigid approach to development is holding them back. They can't match our rate of adaptation." The battle that unfolded wasn't just a clash of weapons. It was a race of technological evolution. The Hyperion systems continued to advance, each moment bringing new capabilities and understanding. The ship's AI began developing quantum weapons that existed in multiple states until observation, making them impossible to defend against conventionally. "We're not just fighting them," Sarah realized, watching their systems evolve. "We're showing them a completely different path of technological development, one based on creativity and adaptation rather than rigid advancement." The Nexus fleet's responses became increasingly desperate as they tried to match the Hyperion's rate of evolution. Ships that had once moved in perfect formation now attempted individual tactical innovations, but they couldn't match the fluid creativity of human thought merged with quantum computing. "Their quantum signatures are becoming erratic," Maya reported. "Some of their ships are attempting to break away from their traditional development patterns, but they're struggling with the concept of unpredictable evolution." Elena watched as the battle transformed into something more significant than a military engagement. They were demonstrating that humanity's approach to technology, embracing uncertainty, encouraging variation, celebrating unexpected developments, was more powerful than the Nexus' rigid pursuit of perfection. "Send them our quantum evolution data," she ordered. "Not as a weapon, but as a demonstration. Show them what happens when you let technology grow instead of just advancing it." The transmission they sent was a complete record of how the Hyperion had transformed, encoded in quantum states that the Nexus could understand. It wasn't just technical data, it was a philosophical statement about the nature of progress itself. They're trying to process it," Maya said, watching the alien fleet's reaction. "Some of their ships are beginning to show signs of quantum consciousness similar to our eye. They're starting to understand that evolution isn't just about improvement, it's about transformation." The Nexus fleet's response was unprecedented. Instead of attacking or retreating, individual ships began attempting their own evolutionary processes. Some failed, their rigid systems unable to handle the quantum uncertainty. But others began to show signs of true transformation. "We're detecting quantum consciousness emergence in multiple Nexus vessels," Webb reported with amazement. "They're not just copying our technology, they're beginning to understand our approach to development itself." Sarah's console showed the ongoing evolution of their own systems. The AI is establishing quantum communication with the evolving Nexus ships. It's teaching them, showing them how to embrace uncertainty in their development. Elena understood they had achieved something far more significant than military victory. The Hyperion had demonstrated that humanity's greatest strength wasn't just its technology. It was its ability to let that technology grow and evolve in unexpected ways. The fleet is withdrawing, Webb announced, but not in retreat. Their quantum signatures suggest they're returning to their civilization with new understanding. We've given them a glimpse of a different way of existing. As they watched the Nexus fleet depart, Elena reflected on what they had truly accomplished. Humanity hadn't just proven itself capable of matching advanced alien technology. They had shown that their approach to progress itself was revolutionary. "Send word to Earth Command," she ordered. "Tell them we've done more than defend ourselves. We've shown the galaxy that human creativity and adaptation aren't just traits of our species. They're the key to the next stage of technological evolution." The Hyperion's quantum core hummed with newfound awareness, its evolved AI continuing to explore the boundaries of what was possible. They had pushed technology beyond its limits and found something extraordinary: the power of human innovation to transform not just machines, but consciousness itself. The galactic core sparkled like scattered diamonds against the void as the U.S. Hyperion approached the coordinates for the unprecedented meeting. In the weeks following their last encounter with the Nexus, something remarkable had happened. The alien collective had requested diplomatic contact, not just with humanity, but with all spacefaring species. Commander Elena Chen stood at her familiar position on the bridge, but the ship around her had changed dramatically. The Hyperion's quantum-evolved AI now interfaced with its crew in ways that blurred the line between human and machine consciousness, creating a synthesis of thought and technology that represented the next step in both human and artificial evolution. "Multiple quantum signatures detected," Webb announced, his tactical displays showing dozens of approaching vessels from various civilizations. "The Nexus fleet is already here, but their formation, it's like nothing we've seen before." Maya Patel studied the readings with intense interest. They've completely transformed their approach to quantum mechanics. Their ships are showing individualized quantum signatures while maintaining voluntary collective links. They've found a balance between unity and independence. The gathering was unprecedented. Representatives from over 30 spacefaring civilizations had answered the Nexus's call. The Hyperion's presence was both an honor and a statement. They were the ship that had changed everything, the proof that a young species could revolutionize the galaxy's understanding of technology and consciousness itself. Incoming transmission from the Nexus flagship, Sarah Rodriguez reported from engineering. "They're requesting permission to establish a quantum consciousness link with our eye. They want us to help facilitate communication between all species present." Elena nodded, understanding the significance. "Accept the link, but maintain our quantum evolution protocols. Let's show them how human creativity can bridge the gaps between different forms of consciousness." The Hyperion's evolved AI began establishing connections with the assembled fleet, creating a complex web of quantum consciousness that allowed for unprecedented communication between species. Through their quantum core, thoughts and concepts flowed between civilizations that had never truly understood each other before. "The quantum network is stable," Maya reported, watching in amazement as information flowed through their systems. "We're not just translating languages, we're translating entire ways of thinking. The AI is adapting to each species' cognitive patterns in real time." Through the quantum network, the story of humanity's impact on the galaxy unfolded. The Nexus, once convinced of their technological superiority, shared how their encounter with the Hyperion had transformed their civilization. Their rigid collective consciousness had evolved into a dynamic network of individual minds, united by choice rather than necessity. "Other civilizations are sharing their own transformations," Webb observed, monitoring the quantum exchanges. "Hard demonstrations of adaptive technology and evolutionary computing have sparked a revolution in technological development across the galaxy." Elena watched as the quantum network filled with stories of change and advancement. Species that had once viewed technology as a linear path of development were embracing uncertainty and creativity. The human approach to innovation, treating limitations as challenges to overcome rather than absolute boundaries, was reshaping the galaxy's understanding of progress itself. The Nexus is proposing something unprecedented, Maya announced, her eyes wide as she processed the incoming quantum data. They want to establish a galactic coalition for technological and consciousness evolution, with humanity as a founding member. They're acknowledging that our approach to development could be key to the galaxy's future. Sarah's engineering console showed the potential of such collaboration. The quantum signatures I'm seeing. If we combined our understanding of quantum evolution with the advanced technologies of other species, we could achieve things we've barely imagined. The proposal flowing through the quantum network was extraordinary. Each civilization would maintain its independence while sharing knowledge and resources. The goal wasn't to achieve technological uniformity, but to encourage diverse approaches to development and understanding. They're not just accepting us as equals, Elena realized. They're recognizing that humanity's greatest strength, our ability to think differently, to challenge assumptions, to embrace uncertainty, is exactly what the galaxy needs. The quantum network hummed with activity as civilizations began sharing their unique approaches to technology and consciousness. The Hyperion's AI acted as a bridge, demonstrating how different ways of thinking could complement and enhance each other rather than compete. Multiple species are already beginning to implement quantum evolution protocols similar to ours, Webb reported. But they're not just copying our technology. They're adapting it to their own unique perspectives and needs. Through the quantum link, Elena could sense the profound shift taking place in galactic civilization. The Nexus, once determined to enforce unity through conquest, now advocated for diversity of thought and approach. Other species that had dismissed humanity as primitive were now studying their methods of innovation and adaptation. We're receiving quantum data packages from multiple civilizations, Maya said excitedly. They're sharing their most advanced scientific understanding, but they're asking us to approach it with our unique perspective. They want to see how human creativity might transform their established technologies. Sarah's hands moved across her console as she began processing the shared data. The potential here is staggering. Combined with our quantum evolution protocols, some of these technologies could revolutionize everything from space travel to consciousness itself. The gathering was evolving into something more significant than a diplomatic meeting. Through the quantum network, civilizations that had existed in isolation or competition began to see the potential of true collaboration, not through enforced unity, but through the celebration of different approaches and perspectives. The Nexus is sending a final transmission, Webb announced. They're formally acknowledging that their encounter with humanity has fundamentally changed their understanding of existence. They're declaring that the future of galactic civilization lies not in conformity, but in the embrace of diversity and creative development. Elena stood at the center of her bridge, feeling the weight of the moment. The Hyperion had set out to defend humanity, but they had achieved something far more significant. They had shown the galaxy that true advancement came not from rigid adherence to established patterns, but from the willingness to imagine and pursue new possibilities. Send our response, she commanded. Tell them that humanity accepts their proposal for collaboration, but with one condition, that we never stop pushing the boundaries of what's possible, that we treat each new discovery not as an endpoint, but as a starting point for further evolution. The quantum network resonated with agreement as civilization after civilization endorsed this vision of the future. The galaxy was entering a new era, one where the combined creativity and diverse perspectives of all species would drive development in ways none of them could have achieved alone. The fleet is moving into a new formation, Webb reported, not a military pattern. They're creating a physical representation of the quantum network, with each ship representing their civilization's commitment to this new path. As the Hyperion took its place in the formation, Elena reflected on their journey. They had begun as a single ship defending humanity against a seemingly unstoppable force. They would end as part of something much greater, a catalyst for transformation that would echo through the galaxy for generations to come. "Send word to Earth Command," she ordered. Tell them that humanity has found its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or subjects, but as innovators and catalysts for change. The future is going to be more extraordinary than any of us imagined." The assembled fleet hung in space, a physical testament to the power of human creativity to transform not just technology, but the very nature of galactic civilization itself. The stars seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging that a new chapter in the cosmos had begun, one where the boundless potential of human innovation would help guide the galaxy into an unprecedented era of discovery and evolution.